Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing great. I've got something exciting lined up here today. We're going to be checking out another mold from our friend over at Follow Forms, and we are going to be pouring the Crayfrom 6 today. If you didn't see the previous video that we did on some molds from him, we checked out the Crayfrom 7, great mold, hyper realistic crawl looking crankbait, and it works excellent, great square bill. This is kind of the little brother to that. It is a 1.5 instead of the 2.5 that the Crayfrom 7 is. And we're going to be checking this out. I also have the Clawform 6.5, which is a new drop from them that we'll be checking out in another video that I'm going to be filming right after this. I just kind of want to keep them separate so that we can kind of go through the process because it's a little different on each one. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you everything that you need, all the stuff that the mold comes with, and kind of break down this process for you so you can pour your own Crayfrom 6s right at home. So let's break down everything you're going to need to pour these yourself, my thoughts on the pouring process, and a little bit of a comparison between the Crayfrom 7 and the Crayfrom 6. The Crayfrom 7 is the one I have in my hand here. It is a 2.5 inch bait. Very detailed, and what we're pouring today is just a smaller version of that. This is the Crayfrom 6, and it is a 1.5 inch bait. And this bait's really going to shine when it's a little bit more pressured, when the fishing's a little tougher, when you're kind of having a lot of time in between bites. Maybe downsizing that bait will generate a few more strikes. And either way, it's good to have both options, just depending on what you like to throw. And the material list for both molds is very similar, so you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of extra stuff to be able to pour both. So let's start with everything that comes with the mold, and then I'll break down kind of what doesn't come with the mold, and you can pick that up as well. So this is the Crayfrom 6 here I have in my hand. So this is the mold. You also get rubber bands that are going to come with that mold to hold it closed while you pour the casting resin in it. And it's also going to come with some metal alignment pins. These are going to hold the screw eyes and the belly weight in place while we clamp it up and get ready to pour it. It has some alignment pins kind of built on the mold, but it's just to help the mold get itself aligned. They don't actually hold anything like the metal alignment pins do. Now, let's start off with what it doesn't come with and what you're going to need. I'm going to start off with the most controversial one because there is a ton of different ways to do this. You can use ball sinkers, you can use split shots, you can use BBs, you can use all kinds of different things. But what I use, I have a friend that is a reloader, and he makes me some double-aught buckshot in lead. And what it does is it just allows me to get this stuff super cheap. And I just drill a hole in it, run my screw eye in it, and that is my belly weight. And I'll show you that process, of course. But that's what I'm using. I know not everybody can get their hands on this, but if you can, it does work really well. These are about 3.4 grams, by the way, in case you need to know that. Now, we're going to start off with the other part of this, which is the screw eyes. You can get these from Lure Parts online along with the Lexan lips. I will show you the bags for the screw eyes and the Lexan lips, and you can pause when I show you these if you need to have the numbers on them. So these are the screw eyes here, and these are the Lexan lips. All that information should be on that bag there, or you can go over to the Follow Forms website, which I'll have in the description below, and he has all that stuff laid out as well. Get all that stuff from Lure Parts online, super easy, and they usually have that stuff in stock, so it's not a problem. Now, you're going to need some mixing cups. You don't use anything that you care about because you're going to ruin these cups. This stuff sets up so fast, you're not going to be able to clean these cups out. I use mouthwash cups just because then I don't have to worry about it, and they are super cheap and I can get them locally. You're also going to want a hobby knife. Hobby knife is great. You can get these cheap on Amazon. I think I bought like a 20 pack of them or something. And they are just great. You can clean off flashing and everything super easy with these. And it's nice to have some fresh blades. I just keep them super sharp. Now, you're also going to want a pocket scale. So something that measures in grams, preferably because that's how I'm going to give you my mixture today. It's going to be in grams. You can get one of these on Amazon, super cheap. As for tools, I've got a pair of needle nose pliers here. You can pick these up just about anywhere. And I have a drill with a drill bit that is just a tiny bit smaller than the threaded part on the screw eye. because I'm going to be using these pliers and that drill bit and the drill to set up my belly weight. You may not have to do this, but this is kind of what I'm using for my process. You're also going to need some casting resin. I'll try to leave a link, my Amazon link to these. I picked these up on Amazon, and these are the casting resins I'm going to be using, along with some microspheres, and I'll give you my ratio and how I mix that here in just a moment. But I think that is everything you're going to need, so let's show you the pouring process and kind of how I set up, prepare for that, and how that process looks. This is what your molds should look like when you get them all set up and ready to pour, and I'll break this down for you. So we have our alignment pins in here. We have our back screw eye on this one. We have this one empty. This is just to help with the alignment here. We have our belly screw eye here. We have our nose screw eye here. We have our bill already put in here, and we just have it in there nice and snug. And this is the belly weight setup that I am using. I'm going to show you how to make these here in just a second. But this is exactly how it should look right before we clamp it up and get it ready to pour. I'll show you how I'm making these belly weights here. I've got the double aught buckshot, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but they have a little bitty flat spot on them. And I use that. I put it here in my needle nose pliers and grab a hold of it really good. And then I use that flat spot because it's not, your drill bit's not walking all over the place. You don't want to shove this through your hand and turn it into hamburger meat. So just don't do that. Just think with your head, and let's put this on the flat spot. We're going to drill a hole through this real quick. Kind of go slow, back it out. Now we have a hole through it. Now it's going to leave a little bit of shrapnel around the edge of that, so you can clean it up or you can don't clean it up. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be inside the bait anyways, but you just kind of want that hole going pretty symmetrical through that bait. And then we're just going to twist it on top of the screw eye, and you want to leave a good bit of threads there sticking out, because if you don't and you tighten it all the way up on here, when you put it in the mold, this little edge of this weight is going to be sticking out the side of your crankbait or through the belly of it, and you don't want that. It's going to look terrible. So just make sure you leave about that much thread or so sticking out. And when you put it in the mold, you can push down on the pin and just verify that there is a little bit of gap between the bottom of the mold and the bottom of this weight here. That way you're not running into that problem. Because otherwise, this is the first one I ever poured. You can see it's got the weight sticking out, and you don't want that. So take it from me, yeah, make sure you leave enough threads on there. I'm going to show you how I mix my resin and microspheres here, but just know, depending on what belly weight you use, this is going to vary tremendously, and you're just going to have to fine tune it and get it to set and run the way that you want. With my Crayfrom 7, I do about 15% of microspheres to casting resin. Now, for some reason with this bait, maybe because it's a smaller profile, that's not enough. It wants to sink once I get the hooks on. 15% it will float until you put the hooks on it, and then when you put the hooks on it, it sinks. So we're going to try about 20%. So 7 grams of A, 7 grams of B, and about 20% microspheres, which is about 2.8 grams. So I put my cup on the scale, and I go ahead and tear it so it is zeroed out. And now we're going to add about 2.8 grams of the microspheres. We have 2.82 grams, which is close enough on here. So we're going to go ahead and tear this now, and we're going to add our part A. I'm going to add close to 7 grams of this, and we're just going to see how close we can get. That is 7.02 grams of part A. So I'm just going to take a popsicle stick and begin to stir this. Careful, this stuff does want to get airborne. It's very fine. And it will get airborne if you stir it very fast. Now we're looking for like a milkshake consistency here. If I can quit making a giant mess with this. This is one thing about this process, it is messy. So just be prepared. If you're OCD about things, it is a little messy. That's a little bit thicker than milkshake consistency, but that will work. I'm going to put it on the scale, and I'm going to tear it. And we are going to put part B in now and try to get it 1-to-1, so the exact same weight of A we're going to go for in B. Okay, we are mixed up. Now we're just going to stir it with the stick very quickly and make sure it's blended nice and evenly. We want to move quick because this stuff sets up extremely fast and we don't want to run out of time here. Okay, I feel like that's stirred pretty good. Gonna get the extra off the stick, get the scale out of the way. I have my mold on a paper plate just because I don't want it to leak out and ruin my table here. And we're just gonna pour directly into the opening here. Our mold is topped off and now we're just gonna wait for it to set up. I'll probably give it about 10 minutes or so and then we'll be ready to open it. We are all cured up and it's nice and hard now. I went ahead and took the rubber bands off. And as you can tell, I'm very messy. But we're gonna start cracking this mold open. Nice and easy, let's don't be reckless, because I tend to get a little bit crazy on these sometimes. Just a nice slow splitting of the mold. Come on now, there we go. And that is our finished bait. And I know you're probably freaking out if you haven't seen this before, that there's so much flashing. Don't worry, Hobby Knife takes this right off. Just takes like under a minute and you can have this all cleaned up. And it's not a problem. I know it looks a little bit intimidating for the first time, but don't worry, it is very easy to clean up. So literally all I did was just went over to the trash can where I wouldn't make a huge mess, and then just cut into this for just a second, popped it off, and then ran this around the edge. This stuff comes off super easy, so don't be freaked out by the flashing. It's really not a big deal. Any that you get on the bill, you can kind of clean it up with the knife. It comes off the bill really easy too, which was something I was a little bit concerned about at first, but it doesn't stick to that very well, so it's pretty easy to get off. And then as you can see, we have this giant thing here that was holding our belly weight. I'm just going to grab a hold of it with the needle nose and unscrew it. Get it out of here so it's not hanging down all weird. Okay, and then snap that off there. And then all I do with these holes is take some super glue and baking soda, and then it cures almost instantly, and then you can just kind of sand it down, and I kind of do the same with the top. But yeah, that is one of the finished baits out of that new mold. So I threw this thing in the test tank with some hooks on it. This is 20% microspheres to casting resin, and these are number 4 KVD triple grip elite hooks. And as you can see, floats nose down with the butt there in the air, and I think that's gonna work out just fine. If you feel like it needs more, you can add more. If you feel like it needs less, you can add less, but that is the best way to test it, is just to throw it in the water and see what it does. So that is the process of pouring these Crayfrom 6s. 1.5 inch little square bill. That is just absolutely awesome. I'm excited to paint some of these. Very similar process to the Crayfrom 7 if you've watched that video. But overall, I am really pleased. Can't wait to do some testing on these. I'm not quite ready to sell blanks out of the Crayfrom 6 yet. I want to take them to the lake and do a little more testing than what my test tank can allow me to do. Unfortunately, I can't afford like a Bass Pro tank in the shop. That would be awesome. But I'm gonna have to take these to the lake, do a little bit of fishing with them. And once I'm confident, I will sell some blanks. I'm trying to make some more time to be able to pour some more, because I want to have a section on the website where you can just go on there and buy blanks. But time is a little bit few and far between sessions in the shop right now. So as I get more time to do that, I will get that figured out. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you want to pick up some of these molds for yourself, I'll leave a link to Follow Forms website down in the description below, and you can check them out. They make some awesome stuff. Comes from Australia, so give it a little bit of extra time for it to arrive. But overall, extremely fairly priced, and they give you some great results. I hope you guys did enjoy that. If you want to buy any baits from me, like these soft plastics or some hard plastics from me, there'll be a link in the description below to my store. All that money goes back into this so I can keep making these videos for you guys. And until next time, I will catch you guys in the next video.